to the Everything Wellness Show. This is the show where we discuss everything wellness. And Happy New Year's to everybody. We have actually a really special guest today. But before we get into that, we are going to be talking about New Year's resolutions, right? And one of the biggest topics that pops up when it comes to New Year's is fitness, nutrition, lose weight, get on an exercise routine, join a gym. So my special guest today is the manager of the Raw Athletic Club here in Port St. Lucie and in Stewart as well, Mr. Jack Southard. Jack, how are you today?
I'm great, Mark. Thanks for having me. I
No
really
problem.
appreciate you letting me come on here and talk about fitness with you.
Absolutely, and thank you for taking the time to sit here with us and, discuss New Year's resolutions and some of the things that we're going to be doing and moving forward with the New Year's and new goals to hit and all that fun stuff. If you could, just give the audience a brief description, a little background of yourself, your experience, what you're currently doing.
Sure thing. So I've, got background as a personal trainer. I've been doing that for around 8 years.
Nice.
And I've worked many different positions and many different gyms for many different companies. And I've been around the fitness industry for quite some time, and it's become a real passion of mine. Seeing people, embark on a new journey, especially around this time, to set some new goals and, make a better life for themselves is something I'm really passionate about. And, working in this facility that I do and having the great team around me, I really get to do a lot of good work that makes me feel great inside, helping people out with their fitness and wellness journeys.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How did you actually get interested in wanting to be a fitness trainer?
Yeah, sure thing. So I was an athlete growing up. I played lots of different sports, football, baseball, rugby, and I had aspirations of, playing college football, college rugby, but I had a few too many concussions, and the doctors told me that's probably not the best plan. So I really dug into the fitness aspect of things. It was something that was always a part of, being a football player, being an athlete.
Sure.
You're in the weight room. I excelled in that portion, and since I couldn't be competitive in actually playing the sports anymore, I decided to focus my time into the fitness part of things.
Nice.
So the gym always felt like a home to me, and that's where I found my peace. That's where I got some mental clarity. So I did my best to share that with others.
Yeah.
And being a trainer for many years in different gyms, I've encountered hundreds of different clientele with different goals, and it was always amazing to me how much I'd learn from other people and how much I was able to give as well.
Oh yeah, it's a constant learning experience. Even having 8+ years experience as a trainer, I've been a trainer as well for almost 15 years now. Awesome. And working with patients, or I say patients because I used to work in a rehab location, physical therapy. But our clients was ranging from ages of 13 to, I had a client that was 92 in a walker. I mean, so you're talking a wide variety of special populations as well, coming off of rehab and having some type of chronic disorder or disease. So yeah, it's amazing how many people that you can actually influence and really educate them and show them the benefits of the exercise. And then of course nutrition is another huge part of it as well. The way I got into personal training was I grew up emulating, of course, Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, and just being amazed by that type of physique and the way they looked and the exercise and stuff. And I started working out actually when I was 12 or 13, just messing around with my dad's old weight set in the garage, And eventually it led me into the gym, which I fell in love with also, because like you said, it's a time for you to separate. That's my quiet time, although it's not that quiet, right? But that's definitely my quiet time. And I remember working out in the gym one morning, and there was an older couple in the gym, and they were kind of confused on how to use the machine. And the gentleman came over to me and asked me, he's like, "Hey, you look like you know what you're doing." Not that I was in the best shape in the world, but I was in good shape at the time. And he said, you look like you know what you're doing. Can you help us out? I said, well, absolutely. So I helped them out. They were so appreciative of that. And I was like, man, I really enjoyed doing that. And that's what kind of led me to, get into personal training. Got into personal training, and then I decided to further my education in it, and so on and so forth. And here I am today, right? So we're all on our own little journey, right? But speaking of journeys, it's now 2025. January is upon us. We are here. And most people, when they have a New Year's resolution, it's go to the gym, exercise, maybe not go to the gym, but exercise on its own, and or lose some weight, hone in on my diet, make some nutritional, choices that are a lot more healthier for me, whatever the case may be. Those are usually the two biggest resolutions that pop up. And in the gym experience, January hits, the gym is packed. About a month or so later, not as packed, right? So what we want to do is we want to shed some light on maybe some of the ways that people can help, that we can help people stick to their resolutions, right? So, one of the things is setting goals. How, in your opinion, can someone set realistic goals and then make them achievable? Like, what would you suggest to somebody?
So I like to use a little thing that I learned in college when I was getting my exercise science degree. It's called a SMART goal, and I'm sure you're familiar with a SMART goal as well, having a similar background to me. And it's this framework in how you frame the goals that you're setting to make sure that you're going to follow through with them. And it goes like this. Let's say you want to lose weight, okay? So instead of just saying, I want to lose weight, let's break it down a little bit. How are we going to get there? You want to be specific about it. SMART is an acronym. It starts with S. So you want to be specific. Okay, I want to lose weight. And then you want to measure it. Let's say I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay? Going from there. Is this realistic? Losing 10 pounds, if you adjust your fitness regimen and your nutrition a little bit, losing 10 pounds is very realistic.
Yes.
Is it relevant? Is losing 10 pounds going to help me improve my life? Is it going to help me be healthier? In many cases, for most people, yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
Let's put a timeline on it, right? I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 30 days.
Yeah.
It's a very realistic way to set a goal. It shapes the goal in a way that it's not too intimidating to look at.
Right.
And it kind of gives you the tools to sit down, frame it, and attack it.
Absolutely, and that's a great way to look at it, because initially what you're doing is you're setting a goal, but then you're breaking it down into smaller goals in order to achieve the larger goal in the end run, right? To even further that a little bit more, even sometimes that has its challenges, breaking it down. And have you ever heard of micro goals?
No, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about it.
Okay, so micro goal is one of the certifications I have is a behavior change specialist, right? So it's how to change someone's behavior, especially when they're creating a goal and they want to get to that, but it's very hard for them to do that. So I might have mentioned it on here before, actually, but one of the micro goals, for example, would be, let's say somebody was sedentary. So well, I want to start walking. Okay, but they just can't seem to just go walking. Okay, so you break it down into the smaller goals. Still can't really push, can't, turn the key and walk through the door, whatever the case may be. So a micro goal to that would be, okay, let's try this. Take your walking shoes, place them by the front door, or whatever door that you come in after work or before you leave work so that you see them. And just by having that visual, seeing them, kind of like I explained prior to us jumping on the camera, was talking about my newsletter. Just having that subconsciously know that email is in your email box, or those shoes are in front of your door, that subconsciously it's there, and guess what? One day you're gonna pick those up and you're gonna start. So even breaking it down to little micro goals sometimes would really push somebody to get going. So it's like you have to find what works best for you, and everybody's different, right?
For sure.
Now, January's here, like we said before, and usually the first month, January, is packed in the gym. People are exercising, having a good time, and then we see that die off after, let's just say we get into February and March. It just dies off a little bit. So one of the biggest things is probably lack of motivation. Maybe people not knowing exactly what they're doing while they're in there. So what would you recommend for somebody to stay motivated, getting into their New Year's resolution and keep them going?
So motivation's a tricky one for me, because I believe that motivation is a fair weather friend. It's only going to be there when times are good, right? So for a lot of people, it's only there in January. So I don't believe that motivation is the thing that you should search for. I don't think you should search to be motivated to go to the gym, because you won't always be motivated to go to the gym.
Right.
I'm not always motivated to go to the
Same.
gym. You're probably not either. What I believe that you should try and teach yourself is discipline. Discipline is always going to have your back. It's always going to be there for you. If you learn discipline or practice discipline or teach yourself to be disciplined by, setting these goals using the SMART goals framework, figuring out a plan, whether you pay a coach or a trainer like one of us to build a plan for you, or you work one-on-one with a trainer. Having a support system there and not only relying on motivation is going to help push you a lot further. Right? So if you're someone that feels like you need some sort of an external motivator to push you into the gym, find a friend, a workout partner, hire a trainer, maybe even just an online coach. Someone to help push you through, hold you accountable to ensure that you're being disciplined enough to stay true to your goals.
Absolutely. And I like the idea of getting a trainer or getting a gym buddy, somebody to hold you accountable as well. But also too, another great tool out there, and I know everybody uses it, is YouTube. Finding, of course, a good influencer that knows what they're doing, especially when it comes to the gym, is a great way to, you're right, maybe not motivate, but at least give you a better idea so that you have confidence when you're going in the gym or you're going to exercise. That, number one, first, you're not going to hurt yourself because you're learning how to do the exercise properly, especially if you're with a trained professional. And you might see them doing the exercise, even if it's watching the YouTube video, and might be inspired to do it yourself, right? And kind of keep pushing forward and learning, right? Because like we said before, we're constantly learning. Exercises are changing all the time. I mean, years ago, they said, when you're doing a lunge, don't put your knees past your toes. That's horrible for your knees. Now, studies have shown, and there's a guy, it's called Knees Over Toes, right? He's on YouTube. And actually shows benefits of pressing your knees past your toes, right? Of course, starting out small and not, jumping into doing crazy weight with a lunge that, your knees are going past your toes. You don't want to blow out a ligament.
No.
But things are constantly changing and evolving. So we need to do that as well. Now, as I mentioned before, working with certain people that had never walked in a gym before, never picked up a weight, never sat down on a machine, what would be some effective workout routines for somebody who's a beginner? Just never been in a gym, what would you recommend?
So this is a really common question that I get, and I think there's many different ways to go about answering this one, but I'll be very general with my answer. Everyone asks you all the time, especially in my position being a gym manager or a personal trainer or someone who's been a competitive bodybuilder before in the past, what's your split, bro?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what that means for people that don't know is, what is your workout split? How do you break up your workouts throughout the week? A good one for a beginner, in my opinion, just because you're not going to require as much stimulus as someone who's been, working out consistently for years, is a simple upper-lower split. You train your upper body on one day. You can train your lower body on another day. You rest for a day or two and you can repeat. You're going to see significant progress if you are new to the gym training in this way, and you're also going to take things slow and not overload the muscles that you're trying to work with a ton of volume. Because really in the beginning, you don't need a whole lot of volume or stimulus to create a growth response.
Exactly. No, that's true. And then, of course, having them focus on, certain fundamental exercises, certain compound movements too, a little bit better bang for their buck. The bench press, squat, some of the basic stuff that if you don't know how to do it properly, you could injure yourself. But if you focus on them, those have been shown to improve muscle size and help burn calories more than some of these other, maybe accessory exercises that you see a lot of other people doing in the gym as well. But I think learning the fundamentals and the basics first, right, is key. You're not going to get in a car that has a million buttons or sit in a plane, for example, and expect to just take off and fly, right? You've got to learn the little basic things as you go. Now, would you recommend, or how many days, I would say, would you recommend somebody who's beginning to work out per week?
It's a tricky one, and it really depends on a lot of different factors, where you are in life, what your age is, what your experience in the gym is. For the beginner, like we're discussing right now, I think 2 to 4 days is sufficient to see some gains. Realistically, as soon as you start getting into the gym, you are going to see a change. If you've never done it before, when you start, you will see a change. You just have to get in there and start to execute and be consistent and not fall off. However, as you go through time and you become more experienced as a lifter, the same workouts that you were doing at the start and with the same amount of volume and the same stimulus, if you stick with that, you may slow down and not see the progress that you're looking for as you become a bit more advanced. So with that upper lower split that we were discussing, from there, it is ideal for beginners, and it is enough stimulus to create that growth response. Moving towards another split that's very common, a push-pull leg split. I can explain that a little bit. So the push being the pushing muscles, the chest, the triceps, and the shoulders. Those are muscles that act in a pushing motion. The pulling being the back and the biceps, and then your legs are obviously your legs, your hamstrings, your glutes, and your quads, calves. That's another way to make sure we're hitting all those muscle groups, but giving them a little bit more attention than just the upper lower, adding a little bit more volume. And then while you're doing this, obviously you want to practice progressive overload. Is tried and true. And what progressive overload is changing one factor, whether it be intensity, volume, weight, slowly over time, to ensure that you're progressing week to week. So make something harder. Whatever that factor it is, it could be the volume, it could be adding weight, it could be doing an exercise more intensely or with even better form. But you want to always be progressing, right? That's in the term progressive overload. You're progressing week to week.
So and that's great that you're talking about progressive overload, because by doing that, you're teaching somebody how to initially set up short-term goals, right? They have a short-term goal to maybe increase their volume, increase the the load of the exercise, depending on what it is. But the biggest thing too is, especially when somebody is doing a progressive overload, that actually helps them prevent injuries as well, because they're slowly progressing, right? So what would you say, like, what exercises would you recommend for somebody to build strength? And another thing too is, a lot of people say, well, I want to lose fat and build muscle, right? That's like the biggest thing. What exercises would you recommend for that? Or what would be your general answer for that? I'm interested to hear what you would say, because it would probably be the same thing I would.
So there's a big debate on whether you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. And it's tricky, because those are two opposite things that you're trying to do. And it requires two opposite energy balances, really. We're talking about, to build muscle, being in a caloric surplus, to lose fat, being in a caloric deficit. And those two things are sort of counterintuitive. There's periods where it is more possible to do that, such as being a beginner in the gym. You will be more likely to be able to build some muscle and lose a bit of body fat at the same time. But you asked what exercises are going to help build strength and burn the most calories at the same time. It would be circling back to some of those compound movements, the bench press, the squat, the deadlift, multi-joint movements that are using different muscle groups more than just isolating a single, like a tricep push down or something like that.
Exactly. Right. And that's for those out there who don't know what a compound exercise is, that's what it is. It's a multi-joint exercise. So for example, like the bench press, we'll use that as a basic example. Your primary mover would be really you're working out your chest, right? But your primary mover is your shoulders. And then they call it the antagonist muscle, so your triceps actually are flexing as well at the top portion of the exercise as well. So you're working out multiple muscles, you're working out multiple joints as well with that. So it's, there's a lot of things going on, so the more you work in one exercise, the more calories you're gonna burn. The more muscles you're gonna target, the better off they are for you. The nutrition part is the biggest part, right? And that's usually where I'll kind of aim that. If somebody asks me that question, that's where I'll aim my conversation towards. I'll say, again, pointing out that it's kind of hard to do that unless you're a beginner. You're trying to lose fat and build muscle at the same time. But the main thing is for someone to hone in on their nutrition, because as you know, and as I know, that's probably the hardest part, right? you can learn how to exercise and work out, especially if you get a trainer. They're going to teach you how to do it, and that's great. That's one aspect of it. It's really knowing how to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, all that type of stuff. So I usually try to aim that conversation that way, and I usually would say that the best response comes from that, right? Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in a position like this, and whether your goal is to, you know, build fat or build muscle or lose fat.
Yeah, we don't want to build fat, yeah.
I don't think that's the goal for most of us. But, you know, building muscle or losing fat, the diet is going to be a huge factor, right? People in the gym always say, you know, it's 20% training, 80% nutrition, diet, right? And those are just two random numbers that are thrown out there. But generally, it drives the point home that if you're in the gym, you could lift as heavy as you want. You can do as many workouts with as much volume as you can. If you're not providing yourself with enough calories and nutrients and eating enough protein, you're not going to really see the results that you want.
That's right.
And that is the same way for the diet. You can do, you know, if you're trying to lose some weight, you can do cardio all day long. But if we're going home and slamming a couple McDoubles after the fact,
that's not going to help.
You're not going to get to where you want to be.
Exactly.
And it's important to pair those two things together.
100%. 100%. And I do nutrition consultations here through the district, and I preach on calories in versus calories out, because I feel that that is the most important thing, especially when you're trying to lose weight, gain weight even, or even maintain weight, right? You're maintaining your weight, you have to know how much you need to eat. And like you said, you can go in the gym and exercise and lift heavy and, you know, you're getting strong and all that. But if you're eating too much, then you're expending, you're gonna gain weight. And then you're gonna think, well, what am I doing? You know, so it's definitely finding that balance. The hardest thing is to get somebody to stick to the nutritional goals, right? Because that's tough. If somebody's changing their whole diet around, it's hard. And I don't recommend anybody do that. I usually tell people, try to make small changes, obviously, so that it, you know, it elicits a greater response and, you know, better adherence to what you're trying to change so that you can stick with it. How would you recommend somebody trying to stick with their nutritional goals, especially when, you know, starting their New Year's resolution?
Definitely. I think making small changes like you recommended is a really good start. And with those small changes, you can build upon that, right? Let's start with something simple that a lot of people will do. Cutting out soda. It's an easy one. A lot of people will see 10 pounds fall off just with something simple like that.
Absolutely.
Because of the extremely high sugar content in a Coke or a Pepsi, something like that.
Micro goal.
Micro goal. There we go. But, you know, expanding on that from there, once you make that small change, you can make another small change. Let's, you know, reduce some of the nighttime snacking. Right, that's another thing that you could do.
That's my downfall.
Me too, trust me. Oh man, me and my wife are always looking for something. But you know, it's not going to get us where we need to be.
Right.
So cutting something out like that and replacing it. Let's say we don't even want to cut it out. Cut out the nighttime snacking. Let's replace, you know, some cookies with an apple or a banana or something a little bit more healthy.
Right.
As you make those small changes, you know, you can dive in a little bit deeper into the nutrition aspect of things. Let's maybe, instead of, you know, having a carb-heavy meal 3 times a day in the evening, let's maybe center some of those carbohydrates around your workout a little bit more.
Use it for energy.
Exactly, right? Because that's what carbohydrates are. That's our energy for our workouts, and you know. During your workout, you're going to burn up the carbohydrates that you consumed beforehand. Afterwards, you can replenish some of your glycogen stores with a little bit of carbohydrates. But really, that's digging really deep into things. Once you start making those small changes with your micro goals, you can then formulate a program with a nutritionist like yourself, or you know, a personal trainer who has a lot of experience dealing with nutrition and nutritional certifications and whatnot. Formulate a program. If you've learned the discipline after making those small changes to stick to a set program that you can follow, or loosely follow, you know, you'll see a lot more benefit to getting you where you want to be with your goals.
Absolutely. Are you familiar with Remington James?
Remington
YouTube.
James, I'm not.
So he's really big into, he does like, he has like a little cookbook, and he does more like high protein,
Yeah.
high volume, low calorie meals that are very like macro friendly. And his biggest thing is, and I say this all the time in my consultations, there's no such thing as bad food, there's only bad ingredients.
Sure.
So if you're used to eating a certain way and you can just manipulate the recipe by choosing healthier ingredients to make it with, you don't feel like you're on a diet.
Yeah.
You're still eating some of the things that you enjoy eating. I mean, a lot of times people will just, oh, I have to have salad and chicken all day. Like, nobody wants to do that, right?
No.
So, and then of course there's setbacks, right? There's setbacks with nutrition, there's setbacks with the gym. How would you recommend somebody to overcome setbacks? And then we'll get into talking about Raw Athletic Club.
I like this one a lot. I like this one. I compare this to I use a baseball analogy for this. Let's say you're a pitcher, you're on the mound. You throw a pitch and you give up a home run. What are you going to do from there? Are you going to sit there and dwell on the fact that you just let someone score a run off you? If you do that, you're going to spiral. You're going to continue to throw bad pitches, walk batters, and the next thing you know, you're down another 4 runs. But if you have a fast memory and you let that go, okay, I acknowledged I threw a bad pitch and someone got me.
Yeah.
But I need to move on from it, or I'm going to spiral, and it's going to put me in a worse position than I started with. Okay, so the analogy is a good one. I like that one. But if you mess up, you have a meal off, you go to the Cheesecake Factory and load up on some cheesecake and a burger.
It's always the one, right? It's always the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah. But you cannot beat yourself up too bad.
Right.
Acknowledge the fact that I made a mistake.
That's it.
I ate off my program. What am I going to do now?
Exactly.
Am I going to continue to fall off into a binge and eat cookies and milkshakes all night?
Snowball effect.
Or am I going to get back on track, reel it in, and get back on the program?
That's right. A big thing I say too all the time is you can eat bad every once in a while. It's not going to hurt you. Just like you can eat good every once in a while, and it's not going to help you.
Exactly.
But if you're more consistently eating good, then you're better off, right? That's awesome. I love that analogy.
There's another way this can go. Let's say you skipped a workout. Some people in their head, they're like, oh, I'm gonna work out twice tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that, and it's gonna make up for the workout that I lost. Okay, well, doing that, you're not gonna give yourself enough time to recover.
Exactly.
And you might end up doing more harm than good, when in reality, if you just acknowledge, okay, I skipped today, let that be my rest for the week, and then continue back on the program, you might even have a better week of workouts after the fact.
Yes, 100%. And sleep is very important, and rest is very important. So make sure you incorporate that in your resolution. Let's talk a little bit about the Raw Athletic Club.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a new gym to the area. You guys have been open now since last summer, I believe, right?
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial
we
Day
opened up.
weekend, yep,
Yeah, and
yep.
that was, holy cow, that was a fun event.
That was,
I think
yeah.
we had over 3,000 people that came in
Yeah.
and checked out the facility that weekend.
And it was the whole weekend.
It was.
It was, yeah. I went there, I believe it was on that Saturday. Now, if you're not familiar with Raw Athletic Club, they actually started in Stewart as I believe it was Revive. Right?
Revive Gym.
And now
Yeah.
Now it's Relive, and now it's actually Raw Athletic Club, the actual gym, right? And Relive is different. It's more of a wellness clinic for hormone replacement and different things like that. And the owner is Dominic Iacona, right?
Yep.
I might have said that wrong, but it's okay.
Yeah, Dom Iacona.
Dom, it's okay. I'm sorry, Dom. We're Italian, but it's, my last name gets mispronounced all the time. So.
And mine too. That's normal.
But it was a really great meeting with him, and he gave a wonderful corporate rate for the Raw Athletic Club for our employees here at the county. So we really appreciate that. So thank you very much. And then it's a great gym. If you haven't been to the gym, check it out. It's like 50,000 square foot gym. Some of the machines in there I have never seen before. I mean, it's really good. The environment's nice. Of course, there's a lot of gyms in the area that are great too, right? We don't want to just hone in on one, but man, I got to tell you, the gym is fantastic. It really is. What do you guys have going on over there?
So the gym is really out of this world. I believe it's really the best gym in Florida, and a lot of people can say in the country. That's what we kind of set out to have. We've got over 150 pieces of the best equipment in the world, some of the top brands. We've got Prime, Atlantis, Cybex, Nautilus, really the top of the line stuff. We partnered with a company called Pure Muscle and Fitness based out of Canada.
Nice.
They are, equipment wholesalers, and they help put a lot of this equipment in the facility. And it was all hand selected and picked by, one of our owners is also Chris Bumstead,
Yep.
Mr. Olympia himself.
Yep. 6 times.
Six times, yep. But he helped pick a lot of this equipment. And then the Pure Muscle guys are very well versed in gym equipment, and they really helped put the best stuff in our facility. And
Yeah, it shows.
you truthfully won't see an equipment selection like this in any other gym in the area.
I agree.
We also got some really cool other stuff going on in there. We've got a barbershop, pristine barbershop, with my guy Kevin. He's awesome, and Larry's great as well. They do a great job cutting hair for all the members. And we have a smoothie bar too. So we touched a little bit on nutrition in this one.
Yep.
We have the full raw supplement lineup in the smoothie bar there, and the Revive MD products as well, which is our vitamin line.
Yes.
So you can purchase any of those products that you need to help along with your fitness journey right there at the gym. And then, after your workout, you can get an awesome smoothie with some of the raw nutrition protein.
Yeah.
We really are the one-stop shop, and it's super cool. And I haven't even touched on our recovery room yet. So our recovery room, we have cold plunges, which is a very cool thing that's super popular right now.
Yes.
You see all your favorite YouTubers hopping in the cold plunge.
And the red light therapy, right?
Yeah. The red light therapy with our red light sauna is another one. Those two are really popular together because a lot of people will do the hot and cold therapy, which is excellent for recovery. It's another thing that we touched on a little bit during our conversation. But it's an excellent environment. You're going to be surrounded by like-minded people that are also striving for their goals, and the support system in that gym is huge. A lot of people can get intimidated because they think it's a bodybuilding gym. That's really not the case. There are bodybuilders in the building. But it's truthfully more inspiring than anything, being able to train around some of those guys.
Yeah.
And more often than not, they're willing to lend a helping hand to someone that doesn't know how to use this piece of equipment, or is a little bit intimidated by this workout that they're doing.
Absolutely.
Everyone in there is super kind, super helpful, and it's a really awesome gym environment.
And if you're a fan of bodybuilding and you know who Chris Bumstead is, you might get lucky one day and he'll actually be working out in there right next to you. It happened to me once or twice, and I couldn't believe it. It was actually pretty cool. Fan myself, so.
Yeah, as am I, and I started off as I continued on my bodybuilding journey being a fan of his, when I was 19 or so. I'm 26 now, and I get to work for him and his company, and Dom and Raw and Matt Jansen too. It's really cool, and I feel really lucky to be a part of this gym. And I'm really proud of what we've built, and my entire staff and everyone in that building.
And you doing any personal training over there?
We are doing some personal training. So anyone watching this that lives in St. Lucie County, we offer a free personal training session to anyone that wants to come by our facility. You don't have to be a member to take advantage of this.
That's great.
If you're interested in checking out the gym and you want to come schedule a session with our trainer, give us a call, stop by the front desk. We'll put you with someone that'll make you feel comfortable walking into this new environment and starting off on a new journey together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's great, especially with the New Year's resolution. If you're not sure what you're doing in the gym, you're a little hesitant, that's a great opportunity because you don't have to pay a membership fee. You just go in, get a personal training session, basically, and at least learn some of the stuff that you might be a little bit intimidated about.
Absolutely, and it's often common that people walk into our facility and are a bit intimidated just based off the equipment selection we have. Most of our equipment is very easy to use, but it looks out of this world.
Yeah.
This is all new equipment from these new top-of-the-line brands that people have never seen before. Offering this free session is really crucial to help getting these newcomers to come into the gym and feel a lot more comfortable utilizing some of this equipment that they may have never seen before.
Yes.
So that's really why we do offer that free session, and that it is available to anyone that wants to come try it.
That's right. You heard it here, guys. So, Jack, let me tell you, it was a great conversation, man. Thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely.
Well, everybody, Happy New Year's, and you're getting started on your New Year's resolution. Don't be afraid. Get in the gym. Seek out some nutritional guidance, stick to your goals, set them up in small goals so that you can achieve that larger goal, and we'll see you on the next one.